Now we're going back to the slide, and we're going to work on the ejector, because the other parts that Galloway sent are for the ejector. All right, so for the ejector here, if I'm going to be able to do this, I have to drive this little pin right here. This is the ejector, and I have to come from the inside and drive it out. So I'm going to just line it up with my little hole here and my homemade punch, and line that right up. And I almost forgot, you want to make sure you keep a finger on the ejector here, because it is under a lot of spring tension. All right, so there's that pin out. All right, so once you have the pin out, you want to definitely keep your thumb on there and take the ejector out, but keep the pressure on. And I'll show you why here, because there is a little part under tension, and if you just flip it over, see if I can do it so you can see, being very careful to keep the pressure on the ejector. And when I let go, you'll be able to hear it. Oh, there it went. Okay, so there's my ejector free right there, and a spring, and here's the parts we're going to replace right here. So as long as I have it apart, I'm going to go ahead and wipe this off right here. And these are the parts I'm just going to save. The way this works is it's got a little dumbbell shape to it, and on the big side there's a hole, and that's where the spring goes, if you don't lose it. There it is. I'm telling you, they're slickery little guys. Just right in there like that, and then it will go right in here. Right there. And it should be able, you have to be careful when you put it in. You really want it to be able to move up and down freely and not bind. That part's important. If you put it in there so it doesn't go in nicely, then it'll bind the spring up and you'll have all kinds of problems. So I'm being a little extra cautious probably, but I do want my gun to work. Okay, so now that I've got it in there, I like to hold it, and I need this bigger spring, this heavier spring, and it's going to go right here on this side of the ejector. And there's not a whole big hole in there for it, but this part, the front part of the ejector, goes right up here by the chamber, and you can see it just kind of folds in. Little hinged part hooks right on there, and then once you push it down, it's under a ton of pressure, just like that. And now I've got to put this little part back in, and of course it came out from the top, so it has to go back in through the top. So I'm being very careful to hold that part, and I'm putting this roll pin, this roll bar right back in that hole. Just enough for now that it holds the whole thing together, and then I can really work on it with my punch. There we go. See, you can see that it's all the way in there, but not coming out this side. And that's everything that Galloway sent me. So let's put it back together and see how it works. I'm a little bit nervous, I'm excited. I'm hoping that I have a lighter trigger here, but there's only one way to find out. So I'm gonna start with the back here, and I'm just going to slide the striker indicator in there, And then you can see that it has a couple parts sticking up. So when you put this in, make sure that you hold this so you can see. You have to push those down so that the lip can go up in there, and I just do it one at a time. First I'm gonna do the striker indicator so that that part's the sleeve is in there, and then I'm taking the punch that some of you won't have and pushing it in, and it just slides right back up. And it's held in there, it's captured under spring tension, so it's good to go. And that's all back together. So now the only thing left to do is to reassemble the pistol. So first the barrel, then the guide rod and spring. By the way, this is also a stainless steel guide rod and spring that I got from Galloway Precision. I did that when I first got the gun. I just hadn't messed with anything else in forever. When you put it back together, you make sure that this little part right here is down, just like that, where it won't go on. And once you have it in there, take the down pin and put it back in. And then, of course, you can reach down in there with your finger and flip that back up. And now it'll drop. And my gun is now operational. It's still unloaded, of course, but let's do a function check. So I'm going to put my safety on. There it was off. Now it's on. And the gun won't fire. Take the safety off. There it is. And when I slide it back, you can see the stainless steel safety striker indicator, sticking out. And when I let off the trigger for the reset, there it is. And I pull the trigger. There we go. So the gun is operational. It works. Let's see how the trigger is. Bring this back in, zero it. And I'm going to start the same way that I did before. I'm just going to get enough of that to pull the dingus in, pull it straight back. And when I go straight back now, it's at 5.5 pounds. Whereas before it was at 7. So wow, that really made a difference. That was the end of the trigger where it's much easier, and I'll just pull. And now that was at 4.5 pounds. So that made quite the difference. Let's see if I can hold this up so that everybody can see. That's the problem I had with the dingus before. There we go. Holy moly, that can't be right. 3.5 pounds, wow. We gotta try that again. Okay, that one's 4.5 pounds. I like the way that that looks. Stainless in there instead of the plastic. So if nothing else, that looks cool. £5 pounds. Man, that is beautiful. And I'm plotting on doing a little bit extra just to see if I can't get it even lighter. But that makes me happy.